3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody!
Hello, and welcome.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
As you can see, we're in person. When does that happen? Never. Is it too far back?
I'm like, oh my god.
What's up everybody?
On the camera or on the...
Yeah, we can do it on there. Yeah.
So what are we saying? Welcome to another edition of the Triple Dub Podcast. As you all can see, we're here in person. All of your absolute favorite Wizards media folks, okay?
And it feels so good.
Hey, look,
it really does.
Look, you know, I'm from here. Where every time gotta throw that in there.
You gotta throw the A in there.
Right, exactly. Listen, a couple of things before we get started. We want to give a huge shout out to 38 Madison Productions for letting us have and utilize their beautiful studio space. So thank you all so much. Yes. I don't even think did I introduce myself? No, I'm Seawall.
We don't know what to do with ourselves.
We're just so happy.
Together. We don't know what to do with ourselves.
Yes. And this is Bre. And yes, again, piggybacking off of Candi, we want to give a shout out to 38 Madison Productions, to Angie, to Lance, and to Brittney for helping us with our podcast today. We are excited for this.
We're over the moon.
Very excited. I'm Carita Parks, Wizards reporter with SportsJourney.com and owner of Double Take Sports. And yeah, we're excited to be here together.
Together. And I'm Becca Winkert. I'm the director of Wizards Extra, and I do a podcast with my 3 besties. So I'm super excited. I honestly can't even think about Wizards right now because, like, as soon as I saw you guys, I was like, oh my god.
I know.
Just to let you guys know, like, we haven't seen each other in a year and a half or so. Like, it's been a very long time. So the fact that we're together is just, like, incredible.
Thank goodness for vaccination.
Yes. See what fully vaccinated will get you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Together again.
Together at last.
So while we have a little bit of a different format because we're in person, we still got to do our songs of the week.
Of course.
We still got to absolutely do our song of the week. So my song is Kendrick Lamar, Backseat Freestyle. That's my song.
Okay.
That's a good one. Mine is I Shine, You Shine by Ramon and featuring, I think his name is Darrell Cole. But yeah, I like that song because in the song it says, when I shine, you shine. I think that was the premise of us even starting this podcast. You know, we wanted to give the spotlight to other women because we know that how it is to be a woman reporting in this field. And so for us to be able to make it through this whole season,
yes.
Like, I think, and we did it together, and we made it happen. So that's my song.
Well, how can I even go after that?
We don't have to go.
I have no philosophical reason for my song except for it's the last song I heard before coming in the studio. But I do love this song, and we're going to go reggae vibes with Fall by DeVito.
That's a good one.
Okay. Well, my song is just a classic. I'm going to go with Etta James, At Last, because at last we're all together, and I love that song. I know, I hate to toot my own horn, like, you know, I hate it, but I'm super happy to see you guys. I'm super happy that the season is over. Well, I'm not happy, but, you know, it's like at last things are starting to get back to normal, so I'll take it.
Slowly but surely.
Yes, slowly but surely. And with that, we got to go ahead and jump in to Wizards Talk. I will turn it over to Carita.
Ladies, we all know what happened. On our last episode, we talked so much about what the Wizards needed to do to compete in the series pretty much, because at the time they just, were not doing much. They did come back. They won 1 game, so they avoided a sweep, and hey, I'll take it, okay? Yes. They did not make it past game 5. They have the same problems throughout the series. I mean, we touched on it. Defending, the energy, just not everyone contributing. Those were some of the things that we talked about. So I decided to take a little turn today because we talked so much about what the Wizards didn't do right last time. I thought we could talk about what are some bright spots that you could take away from the Wizards playoff series against the 76ers. I could start really quick. I mean, for me, there were two bright spots. Daniel Gafford finally started.
Yes. And
he did well. And then I would also say Rui had, I believe it was game 4. He had a 20-point game. And in the playoffs, he wasn't showing up as much as we're used to. So that was like his best game of the playoffs. But I say it's a bright spot because it shows that if he can be consistent, that he will be a great contributor to the Wizards. And I think this playoff experience was good for him. Yeah. So those are my bright spots of this playoffs.
Those are good. Those were bright.
I'll take it.
We can do it. What about you, Candi?
Yeah, so I agree wholeheartedly. Things happen when Daniel Gafford starts. Yes. And you're absolutely correct about Rui, and he had that great game. But you know what? One of my bright spots, and this isn't necessarily about the Wizards. It's about the Wizards, but not.
Okay.
The energy in Cap 1. Game 4.
Like,
let me just say, and that's like from the players to the fans. Yeah. I had to admit, I sat there and I watched it and I smiled. Like I was smiling really, really hard, kind of like I am now with all my friends. But it was just like, I felt like the city, even though it was one win in the playoffs, I was like, you know what, the fans deserve that happiness.
Oh, for sure.
I know, and Becca, you were there, so I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I mean, I know it was electric in there. I could feel the energy through the TV, so I know it was great.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I think what I would say is we haven't seen playoffs for a few seasons, right? So the fans were just excited to be there. It didn't feel like it was 50% capacity. It felt like full capacity. Maybe that's just because I haven't been around people. But the crowd was so, like, it was crazy. Like, I felt so lucky to be there, and I was able to just like be up close and see them, you know, because we're watching it on the TV all the time. We don't really get to experience that. So it was so nice to be back. Like, I can't say great enough things. I went to that game and game 3 too, but yeah, it was crazy. Like, I'm so shocked that like they finally let people back in
during the playoffs, which is perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Right.
Are you good? Did you have any other bright spots?
Well, what I would say is the Wizards met their goals in a sense that their goal was to make the playoffs, and they made the playoffs, and they didn't have intentions of getting past the second round. I mean, of course they want to, right? But I mean, the fact that they were able to make a win and show that they're competitors after everything they've been through during the season, I mean, that's a plus. Like with the COVID outbreak and the injuries and, you know, not having a lot of players, like Thomas Bryant's out, Denny's out. It's just incredible that they were able to accomplish so much in such a short amount of time. So
yeah, and mine kind of piggybacks off of what all of you guys is despite all of the negative things that happened throughout this whole season, like what Becca said, they were able to get to the playoffs, which was something that, especially at the beginning of the season, did not seem like was going to happen. And so the fact that they were able to come together, and then we also learned in the exit interview with Scott Brooks that Russ was playing on a swollen ankle or something.
He was, a sprained ankle.
Okay, despite that, which is like, okay, hopefully that's not going to be a future, problem for next season. But he still played through it, and he played again to 1,000%. And so yeah, again, like despite, and definitely, I think what you guys said too about the crowd, that helped, the energy. Wish I could have been there, but Becca's pictures are really great.
I got some pictures for y'all.
Go to her IG and her Twitter, check those out. But yeah, there were a few bright spots for the playoffs.
I knew you could do it, lady. I threw them off a little bit. They're like bright spots, like what?
Yeah, at first I was debating all day. I was like, I don't have nothing nice to say. yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes.
Just wait till the cameras are off. Then we're gonna have some stuff to say.
Oh, well, I figured we'd keep it positive, but this leads me to the big question of the off season. Now, ladies, after that last game, we were all in the press conferences, and the main question that continued to come up in many different ways was regarding Scott Brooks and his future with the Wizards franchise. And obviously that has been, I think there's two sides to it, right? So fans are like, let's fire Scott Brooks. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what they're saying on social media. They're that blunt with it. But then on the other side, I'm sorry. I'm just saying that I'm just calling it like I see it.
She's right.
No, not like I see it, how I read it.
Oh man, it's aggressive out there.
It's very aggressive out there. And then in addition to that, I think on the other side, the players believe Coach Brooks has done a great job. I asked Russell Westbrook to talk about Coach Brooks' contribution to the team making it to the playoffs. And he said, essentially, Scotty, as he calls him, has done a great job. And he doubled down on that after the game, the last game, in that press conference. And he said, if it's up to him, he doesn't think Scott Brooks should go anywhere. I have some thoughts, but I'll start with you, Becca. I want to hear what you think Coach Brooks' future with the franchise is.
Well, it's a can of worms, so we'll just get right into it. I would say I'm just going to go right for it, just like everybody else did in the press conference. That was just insane how rough they were on Scott Brooks. I am so sorry, Scott Brooks.
Who wants to answer that question 50 times?
Right.
As soon as you get off the court.
Yeah. Right. Like, it's like we're celebrating a great season. What do we care about all that? No, but Scott Brooks, I don't believe he'll return just because of the amount of, not because of the amount of things I don't know. He hasn't gotten it's hard. Like, I would just say that he's not coming back. But to piggyback off of what Carita said about the players giving him his props, and, a lot of Twitter people were upset about that. They were like, how could they say all those good things about him? It's like, well, you're not going to go on camera and blast your coworker. Like, I'm not going to go up here and say, I don't like Bre. I think she should get out of the podcast. Like, just so she could see it. I mean, they're just not like that, and it's a brotherhood in a sense. Like, they're not going to betray each other. Right. So who knows what they're really thinking behind closed doors. But I don't expect Scott Brooks to return. I think they're taking their time on finding someone. Tommy Shepard is very dedicated to evaluating the organization top to bottom. So we'll just have to see who plays out, but I don't believe he's coming back. He's nice though. I'd like to have a White Claw with him. He's really nice.
He is
really nice guy.
Super nice.
Like, that's why you have like mixed emotions,
right?
In talking about this conversation, because
like, I really like the guy.
He's like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it'll be sad if he does leave, but I do have to agree with Becca that he probably is on his way out, and unfortunately, as we learned, as we know, within the NBA, it is a business. And so, of course, everybody's going to say, oh, no, we're trying our best to make sure that he's going to be here. And we all learned that right before this season, how everybody was like, no, yeah, it's fine. It's cool. And then it was a whole different story. So I feel like I kind of feel those vibes right now. And I feel like it's kind of even more showing because Tommy Shepard is even saying, like, he's not saying anything too securing that it's like, no, we're definitely bringing him back, or no, they're saying we're considering everything. So
right.
It's like, it just seems like everything is pointing in that direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was very clear to me in Tommy Shepard's exit interview that as soon as the question started, he kind of shut it down. Like,
he's like, we're not doing that today.
We're not
Sorry,
doing
guys.
that today. Exactly right. He shut it down early. We're not doing that today.
He saw that last press conference.
He was over it. Like, do not ask.
It's like, I saw you guys fry Scott Brooks. I'm not doing this with you.
So, but you guys are right. I mean, it's very hard because Scott has been so nice to everybody. Like, it's hard. He's a really nice person. And to hear how the players talk about him, it was something else that came up. I think it was in Scott's press conference right after the game where he shared that a lot more, other things went on behind the scenes that no one knows about.
He did.
And I think that's part of the reason maybe the players are so, like, they're indebted to him. Like, no, I don't think he should go anywhere. Like you said, Carita, Russell Westbrook he's been a huge supporter out loud about, for Scott.
Right.
So the players really like him. We don't know what was all going on behind closed doors, but it seems like Scott was a key piece of them getting through that and leading them through that. But unfortunately, what happens in these games and what happens in the playoffs and the long-term wins, that stuff matters. And when you're not winning at the end of the day over an extended period of time, to your point, Becca, it's, maybe got to show you the door. Maybe there's another role for him in the organization if people really like him, but maybe it's just not as a coach. Right,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, who knows?
I think when you look at the totality of the situation and how long he's been here, and, the Wizards have gotten to the playoffs, but then they exit the playoffs in the same place every time they have made it. So you do have to look at that. To his credit, he got this team that was pretty much limping along and honestly to the playoffs. So you definitely have to give him credit for that. But then on the flip side, when I look at Philly, and they made that coaching change and they have Doc Rivers now.
Yeah.
And I believe it has made such a difference. And they have a lot of the same pieces. Now they have some new pieces, but they have a lot of the same pieces. But just that position in itself, which obviously is the most important position on the team, but just making that change, I mean, it's taking them to another level, whether they win or not. Like, they were still number one in the East, and just when they play, like, they are balling, and I just think Doc Rivers has brought something different to them, and I believe the same thing for the Wizards. Like, maybe they just need something else.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Especially with the Hawks too. Like you've seen with Nate,
when
you see in the middle of this,
too.
early in the season, they got Nate McMillan, and now they're like in the second round. I mean, they got their first win in the playoffs, and the first win in the second round, I should say, 2 nights ago. They're playing today too. So it just, the East is leveling up, with the Sixers and the Hawks, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be there with them. So
right, and at the time, if I remember correctly, at the time the Hawks fired their previous coach, their record was actually better than the Wizards.
Just crazy.
I remember looking at it, and I was like, well, what they fire that man for? Because, hey, they're doing okay, comparatively speaking. But I was like, oh, wow.
It says a lot about the organization and what they're willing to sacrifice to accomplish things.
Right.
And I'll say one more thing. I've said this over and over again. Tommy Shepard continues to say that this team is being built around Bradley Beal. They don't want, at this point, they don't want to lose Bradley Beal. And I said this like in a personal conversation. If this team doesn't go to where it should go, like in the playoffs or et cetera, or if Brad just leaves because of that, you traded John Wall, who's like a cornerstone of this franchise, and then it looks all for nothing. So
it's like, you guys did the most for what exactly?
Right. So I think that I say that to say I think that he would make a coaching change if it means that they could take this team a step further and keep Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's a great
I mean,
point.
and again, like, it is a business, and it's like everybody has a personal connection with Scott Brooks. Like what Brad said, he's been coaching him for however many years now, and so they have a bond and they have a relationship. And even Russ has known him for years, and even though he's been on other teams, he has a relationship with Scott Brooks. So it's very personal for them. But also, on the other hand, they're like, I ain't come here to waste my time either. So it's like, what's the next step? So I think, just like what Becca said too, like, of course, in front of us, they're not going to blast him or say anything negative, but who knows what the conversations are behind the scenes. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We shall
Time
see.
will
Will it be
tell.
Time will tell.
Now, will it be a Woj bomb, you think? Or do you think that one of the Wizards reporters are going to break the news if it does happen?
Oh,
It'll
it better be
Woj.
us.
I think it'll be a
It's going to
Woj
be
bomb.
a Shams bomb. Whatever was
One of them.
Shams or what?
Probably.
Listen, for some reason, whenever we talk about when they traded John Wall, and I'm smiling, although I'm still crying on the inside, everybody. Them trading John Wall started this podcast.
It did.
It
did. So, really quick short story.
It did.
Becca was going off in the group chat.
Ooh.
Like, at 11:30, 12 a.m. It was some like crazy time. And mind you, like we had been talking throughout the day, but not at that point. So Becca, like, I don't know what she was going through, but she had some strong feelings. And so we get to talking. And like, I feel like next thing you know, it was like 2 a.m. Like it was late because
it was a deep conversation. Yes. And the next, one of us was like, we really should be doing something with all this insight and this intellect. Like, we should definitely do a podcast. So
and COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID.
We're like, how are we going to manage this? Like, we're not going to the game, so we might as well do something. Like, we can do it on Zoom. So,
and here we are.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, Coach Brooks is definitely a decision that has to be made in the off season. But what else do you think that the team needs to focus on in the off season? I mean, for me, I just think they need to get some more ballers. I mean, yes. They have Brad and Russell Westbrook and they have pieces in place, but I'm talking about some dogs. Like, they need some dogs on the court. I'm sorry. But I keep saying this. I think I said it on the last podcast. Like, when I looked at, like, the 76ers, they was just balling out of control, like, from every level. And Tommy Shepard talked about this, too, depth. And so, like, that's so important. Like, they need some depth. Because that year, going to switch to the Mystics really quick. When the Mystics won the championship, their bench was deep.
Oh, yeah.
And you need that to, be successful in this league. So... who wants to jump in? What else do they need to do?
Some damn defense.
Can we play some defense? And really quick,
we're defenders.
Right, we're not on that topic, yet in terms of the playoffs. But to your point, Carita, that depth thing, that's something that we're seeing with the Brooklyn Nets. But I'm gonna just leave that alone. We're seeing that with that team especially. But yes, defense, please, and let's use the Wizards' star power to advantage.
Yeah.
Like, Brad, Russell, get on the phone. start recruiting.
Let's start recruiting.
Brad said that.
Right after he said tonight,
let's get a recruiting strategy.
That's how they gonna get them dogs.
Right, get them DMs popping.
Hit them up, yes.
Let us do this. And I know that some folks haven't been, even myself included, not an advocate for that model, like the teaming up model, but it is what it is. That is today's NBA. That is how teams are winning championships. So, hey, get on the line. Call them up. I don't know who. Whoever you like. Just call them.
Hey, Kevin Durant, you want to come play for the Wizards?
Come on, please.
I know your mom goes to some of the games sometimes.
whatever they got
to do. Whatever.
But I would say also, piggybacking off of the defense side, I'm just going to say this because Gafford, which I really liked, that
give that dude a max.
I liked what he said in the conference, that he recognizes that, in the post game, that he recognizes that he was getting pushed around in the paint, and he was very raw about it, and he was saying that I'm going to focus on gaining weight, right? Now, of course, for an athlete, which I didn't like this, that everybody was like making it seem like he was saying, I'm going to pig out on cake all summer long so I can gain weight. Like, no, he meant he wanted to bulk up. He wanted to strengthen himself so he doesn't get pushed around by Joel or by any of these other bigs. And he can really defend and he can be at his full max. So I commend him, and I think that a lot of other players on the team are going to be doing the same thing. So hopefully that they do come back stronger. But again, we like what you guys are saying. We do need players that are tough, that are all in. I miss Keith. I miss Markeith. Like, he didn't care. Like,
unfortunately, he doesn't.
Look, he didn't care.
The problem.
That was a plus, but it was also a downfall.
Right.
So
somewhere in between. Somewhere in between.
That was funny.
Look, if we could get a player like Keith with like 15 less technicals a season, we'd be good.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking I want to mention Davis Bertans because I just have to. I know a lot of fans, a lot of us have been like, what's going on with Davis? And we know that he had been one of the team members who had COVID and we're potentially dealing with some, long-standing effects and impacts of that. But if his conditioning can get up to par, I mean, they have paid him quite a bit of money. And they need him. They need him to be effective. They absolutely need him to be impactful. So along with Gafford, bulking up, I hope Davis is building his conditioning back up because that shooting is needed. Yeah. And when the few times he was shooting well, they won. Right. So he's a key contributor when he can contribute. So they need more from him for sure.
And I see why they paid him, but like you said, like he's gonna have to get back to that production that he had when they decided to pay him.
Yep.
Don't want to auto 2.0. So, hey, Bertans, like, are you gonna? Well, it was hard, right? Because not only did he.
I forgot about Otto.
Where is he now?
Oh, Otto is my favorite player. He's in Chicago. No.
Remember they traded him? Never mind. We don't know.
Where's Waldo? Where's Otto?
Forget
I just think, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just like, Otto is like at the forefront of my head. Davis Bertans, he during the summer there was a lockdown, right? And he was by himself, so he couldn't do too much conditioning with the team or with other people. And also he was instructed not to because he was a free agent at the time. Yeah. So unfortunately, there were multiple things. There was COVID, there was the lockdown, there was not being around other people and not, practicing as hard as he should. So, I mean, he did what he could. We have to give him that. He did try, but yeah, I'm gonna need him to start making those threes, or else it's gonna be an issue because he's not always the best on defense. He's a little slower. So yeah, he needs to start. Like we got to get you up and running, Davis, before you turn into a Mr. Porter situation.
And I did want to make a point where you were talking about Gafford and like bulking up, and I think that'll help him with like his fouling because that is just the only that's the one little thing that he needs to work on because he started, but then he had to get pulled because he would get quick fouls. So if he could get that under control, I mean, granted he was still absolutely stellar, but if he can get that under control, like he's going to be like a really great addition. I mean, he already is, but like for the future of this, for the future of this team. Yeah. All right, so we've been talking about the Wizards for a long time. So really quick, just give us one. This is our Wizards season recap. So just give us one favorite like highlight or moment of the season.
Okay, I'll go first. Sorry, because we were speaking about Gafford. I would say this was either Gafford's first or second game with us when he got traded to us. We were playing the Pelicans, and I didn't know much about Gafford. There's not much out there on him, because he was a second-round draft pick. He wasn't like a favorite, and he just completely blocked Zion, like. When I first saw him do that, I was like, that guy's on our team? He just did that? And then he dunked over Zion like he didn't care that he had a family or anything. I was like, I cannot believe this guy's on our team. I was like, if this is like a showcase for what he's about to do for us, I'm like, we're going to be all right in the center position. Yeah. To complement, I mean, what you guys have been saying, all Gafford needs is to bulk up a little, and he needs to build up his endurance, and he's going to be he's already a threat in my opinion, but he's going to be a serious threat. Yeah. Like Gaffy Taffy. He's going to Gaffy Taffy.
Well, my favorite moment is similar. It's when Rui dunked on Anthony Davis. I was like, is that Rui? Like, I just never seen him so aggressive like that. And Anthony Davis fell all on the ground. And I love that moment. I love that moment for Rui.
And Rui.
Just, you know.
Oh God,
He didn't even know that he made it. And then he's like, I turned around, I saw Anthony Davis on the ground, and I looked back, and Russ was laughing at me like I didn't know what happened.
Hey, he saw, I don't know, he just saw the basket. I don't know what he saw, but that moment was hilarious to me and
the most
a good
intense.
moment, so.
Mine would have to be, all those are great moments too. Yeah. Mine would have to be off the court. Even though I know when we were coming into this, it was kind of weird getting adjusted to the Zoom life, but I can say there have been some hilarious times on these post-game conferences.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We have seen, I think it's different for the players. Again, I think they were kind of a little more comfortable because they didn't have people right in their faces. But oh my goodness, too many times. I mean, we've already discussed a few of them on this podcast, but especially Russ, as we've said on here before, that we know when he pulls out his phone that he is not ready to talk to us.
It is time to go.
Like
this last time, oh my goodness, that was hilarious. When he pulled out his phone and told us to wait. He said,
for like a minute. It wasn't like real quick.
Yeah, he said, I gotta do something real quick.
And everybody was just quiet.
We all waited.
Like, okay.
That was so
I didn't expect it to be that
funny.
long, but okay.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then, again, seeing Rui very comfortable, seeing him open up and all that kind of stuff. So seeing Brad very relaxed, him going in on some of the reporters and stuff.
Loved it.
Wait, like,
I mean, listen, he was just saying what everybody was thinking, okay? Like, he was just being truthful about it.
They were definitely more brave on Zoom. And, like, when you said, that reminded me of Rui with the 2 press conferences, and he was like, why can't we just do, like, subtitles
He's like,
one?
can't you just do subtitles? I'm literally answering the same questions in Japanese.
Like, really?
We were like, hey, Rui.
Like,
we can hear you.
He's like, why do we have to do this, man?
But those moments were hilarious.
Man. Yeah, we did have some fun, right?
We did.
We did. So I actually have... I'm picking another one, which was my runner-up. But I do want to say, mine was similar to yours, Carita, because the Wizards won that game. Mm-hmm. So that was a good moment. Yes. Wizards defeating the NBA champion, LA Lakers in overtime. Because that was
that was the craziest game.
Yeah,
I was screaming in my apartment.
And we were up late for like a week trying to
with
get on
the West
all the
Coast
press from the
road
West Coast tour.
Oh my gosh.
We were not getting off those calls until like 2:00 in the morning. But that was one. But then Brad's clutch 3-pointer against Golden State Warriors that turned into like a 4-point play because he got fouled on it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
That was. Yeah.
That was a good one. And he was pretty hype about that. So I was like, yeah, let's go, Brad.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, it has been a great season with the Wizards, just overall. I mean, it did not end the way that we wanted to, but honestly, I'm happy they got to the playoffs. Can't wait to see what they do in the off season. And of course, we'll be back talking about off season. And with that, I will turn it over for what's happening in the NBA.
Well, some teams are still playing. You may or may not have been following them. I've been popping in here or there. It's hard to watch all those games. Like, I'm in vacation mode. I'm on my Cancun couch. Like, I'm resting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, like, I think after this, we'll probably take a week or 2 off because, not a week. That's our standard. So we need to take, like, a 2-week vacation. But I will say, the NBA playoffs, it's been pretty exciting to watch in a sense that a lot of teams we didn't really see coming are doing well. The Hawks have advanced from the Knicks and are now playing the Sixers. And I'm impressed by the Hawks because they have been they've been doing things that I didn't know that they were capable of. I mean, going up against the Sixers, because we all saw how the Sixers handled the Wizards. Yeah. The Hawks have been holding their own, and Trae Young has just been phenomenal. With that, the Nets are they're doing amazing against the Bucks. They have a 2-game ahead of them. It's 2-0. And the Suns are great. Like, a lot of teams I didn't see coming are awesome. I mean, the Lakers are out of the playoffs. Like, I'm just ranting at this point because I'm surprised. I'm just surprised. I'm like, where did y'all come from? Like, I thought maybe it would be the Bucks in the finals, but now I'm like, it's going to be the Nets and the Suns. I mean, what are y'all's take? Like, if you could predict who's going to be in the finals, who would you pick?
Well, what I like, kind of what you were saying, Becca, is that it is the unexpected teams that are here. I remember I was watching The Jump, and they put up a graphic and showing like majority of the teams that are in the playoffs right now have never won a championship. Now, their teams might have been formed in later years. They haven't been around as long as like the Lakers and the Boston and all of that. But still, these are going to be people who are not the typical, ones. And a lot of them are being led by younger players or by foreign players and stuff like that. So it's just a very different look at the NBA, and I like it. It's fresh, it's new, it's exciting because you don't really know. You can't really, like what Becca just said, you could expect to pick the Bucks because of how they were last year, and I think, and Giannis is like the defensive player of the year and all that, or reigning defensive player of the year and stuff like that. So it's like you could pick them, but you could also pick these other players, these other teams too. So I think that it's just, it's very, it makes you want to watch it more, and it makes you
like it's not the same, LeBron show.
Right. Yeah. I'm always for the underdog.
Yes, me too, which is why I'm a Wizards fan. So.
I do definitely think like the Nets probably are going to go to the finals.
Surprise.
But I'm going to still take a different approach. I like the Suns. I do like the Suns in the finals. And if you think about what they did in the bubble last year, and I really think it's great because sometimes, we saw like they were this close. Yeah. And so I really like what they're doing this season because sometimes people can regress, but they actually took it forward into the next season. So I do like what the Suns are doing. I'm still not going to count the Sixers out, to make it to the finals.
Right.
So I don't know. It's still I still feel unpredictable. I don't know what it's going to be right now. Yeah. But I'm going to go Sixers, Suns. I know the Sixers and the Hawks are kind of going at it right now.
Suns. Okay.
I'm going to go with that.
I want to see Trae Young get to the Eastern Conference Finals, young player.
It could be that too, I
know, it's like...
Remember last time we did this, everything changed so quickly? So
we were so wrong.
Who knows?
I am not betting money on a game this season.
We were so wrong.
Because every time I pick someone, it's like, wait, what? Did you just... The complete opposite. And the Nets did not perform during the season like how they're performing now.
Yeah, that's
which
true
is
too.
Crazy to me. And they played yesterday without Harden, and they just dominated. So I'm like, the Bucks, is that you? Are you the Wizards, or
don't even get me started on the Bucks. If y'all, they keep getting to these points, and
it's do you want to go out like this?
That's more frustrating. I think the Bucks have gone to the playoffs and to the finals, and just So anyway, I digress.
So I'm going with the Nets and the Clippers, and here's why. I really feel so. Becca, you were bringing up a point about the Nets. I said, you know what? That's that veteran. I've been here before.
The post game, we know what's happening.
With Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving leading that team, they've played at the highest level multiple times. And I think that has just gotten the energy level up on the entire team. Because, during the playoffs, you're supposed to level up.
Right.
You're supposed to play better, And
me laughing at the Wizards.
And I'm just like, oh my God. Now, the Hawks, Trae Young, phenomenal. We're talking about when we start looking at the next generation of superstars.
Yeah,
he's
that's
definitely
so interesting about this, too. Because
amazing.
we're seeing that, yeah.
I'm like, did you just take a bow in Madison Square Garden? So you know how dangerous.
Listen, all these fans that wanted to scream at him, Trey's balding. Listen, he doesn't give a crap. Okay, he does not care. He was bowing. He was having his way with y'all, and he did it with the Sixers. The Sixers, they were up by something like 12 points, and they came back and almost, tied the game. But to see Trae Young take that team to where it is now, considering they were like on Wizards level, like where we were. It's just crazy.
Like you said, they fired their coach in the middle of the season.
Right.
And
it's
it was firing that was, it's still to your point, just like, I mean, they're doing pretty
They weren't doing that
bad. But
I'm like, wait, they're like a few
now
places.
it's like, okay, well,
we understand.
Yeah, we get it. But all of you guys made a comment about the Suns. You're absolutely correct. I wholeheartedly agree with you all. We saw it, like you said, Carita, we saw them emerging in the bubble. They were this close. And we're talking about coaching again. What Monty Williams is doing with that team is
he should have been
amazing.
Coach of the Year.
I think so too.
I think so too.
Shout out to Thibodeau for winning it, but yes, I agree with you, Becca. Monty
like
Williams
100%. Monty Williams has taken that team to places I did not expect. I mean,
coaching.
Right.
Coaching is key.
Go back and listen to our episode. Is it the coaching or not? It's so,
It matters.
I mean, listen, not to blame, like, Wizards fans, they do blame Scott Brooks for a lot of things, but, he was part of the successful turnaround. So we have to commend him for that. I mean, he did give us a lot of stress, but over the years, but it wasn't just because of him. It was the pieces that he had to work with. It was difficult.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally agree.
Seriously, last year, I feel like, not to make it about the Wizards again, but last year, like, there was like 20-something players going in and out of the locker room total. I mean, they never were able to develop chemistry. I think I was on the court with Bre one time, like, watching them warm up, and I was like, who are these people? Like, I missed like 2 games, and they made a lot of trades, and I'm like, who's Ron Baker exactly? I'm like, is that who? And Bree's like, yeah, he's here now. And I'm like, okay.
And he was a part of that purge. Coach Brooks was a part of that purge. When, like, Kelly Oubre, like that, just when
that
everybody
mess.
was like sent to packing. Yeah. So I mean, it's not to say Coach Brooks is a bad coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. They just need something or someone to take them to like just that next level.
Well, that being said, I mean, that's pretty much a good summary of the playoffs. I mean, we could go on and on about each and every team, but we won't bore you. So, with that, I mean, what's up with the Woman in Sports Spotlight?
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up on this episode. If this is your first time listening to us, every episode so far, we have highlighted women in sports and just recognize them for what they're doing and for being a woman in sports. Like, come on. And so I just wanted to run back a few of the people that we have highlighted this season. We started off with Natasha Cloud. We had Sarah Fuller. We had Becky Hammond. We had Sheila Johnson, Amber Nichols. We had 2 referees that refereed for the first time together in one game. We had Natalie and Jenna. We had Tracy McCant-Lewis. We had Carrot Lawson. We had the women of the Washington Wizards, the entire staff, they were highlighted during Women's History Month. And we've all been able to work with them, being a part of the media team. And so, again, shout out to them. So we have a lot of women that we have highlighted so far. As I said in the intro, with my song, When I Shine, You Shine, we wanted to use this platform that we have to, again, bring a light to other women who are in this industry who may not always get the shine all the time. So we're happy to do that. And if you want to learn more about them, go ahead and listen and binge listen or watch all of our past episodes.
Bre, you rattled off a lot of names. I'm like, damn, how many episodes did we have?
We had a lot of people.
I'm like, how long has this been going on? Because I feel like we just started yesterday.
That was
a lot of awesome names.
That was an outstanding list.
I was like, oh yeah, we did.
I was like, we did. We have a lot of good ones.
Really good ones. Some of them I didn't remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Well, ladies, I think we have completed our inaugural season then, right? Inaugural season of covering the Wizards via podcast. We've been covering the Wizards for quite a few years now, but this is our first season together in covering the Wizards via podcast and YouTube. Congratulations, ladies. This has been awesome.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in and supported us on social media. I mean, we have had a lot of support. So definitely thank you all for really embracing us and being a part of this.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I can't believe the season's over. Like, we've been doing this for it's like, I've known you guys for like 3 or 4 years now. It seems like I just met you in the media room yesterday. So it's like, wow.
It's going by fast. I mean, I get it. Like, we've been around media members that have been covering teams for 30, 40 years.
And we're like, how? But now it's like, we're starting to stack up our years too.
Exactly,
we are.
Exactly. So, yeah, shout out to all of you guys that are listening and watching.
Yes, it's so awesome. And look out for more from us. We will be doing the Wizards off season. We'll be covering a bit of the Mystics as well. So we out here. We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. And follow us.
Yes.
W Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Also, don't forget about that Spotify playlist, W Podcast. And
perfect vibes for the summer. You know, if you're having a cookout, if you're taking a road trip, let us be your soundtrack.
It's like, we got some jams in there, okay? Yeah. Every song is a hit, so.
Yes.
All right, ladies. Well, I guess it's a wrap.
That's it. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you soon.